Hi, this is Darno at Whalen Recipes, and this is my review of the Cuisinart AirFryer Toaster Oven with grill. So let's go ahead and get it unboxed. Okay, now that I've got things all unboxed, I do want to mention that I did contact Cuisinart, and I just used the same web page and contact form that anybody else can use. I don't have any special connections. But I just asked them if a digital version of this cooker was going to be made, and they basically told me there's none on the horizon that they're aware of at this time to make a digital version. So got the manual version, going to be doing a review of this manual version of the cooker that has these knobs and such, because they said that no digital versions coming around the corner at least. So basically I'm going to just go over the accessories that come with the cooker first. And here there's like a little bit of paperwork that comes with it, little paperwork telling you about the rack positions and such, and getting your warranty registered if you want to give them your personal information. And then there's the manual. The manual basically has, it's like English and Spanish. So the first part is English, well, this is the English side actually. So one half English, one half Spanish. And so from pages 1 until, let's see, 1 through 8 are like the manual, but then after that, on page 9 starts the recipes, and they give a lot of recipes all the way to page 34. So pages 9 to 34 are all recipes in English of different types of things you can cook in the cooker. I do know from my experiences with previous Cuisinart cookers, when they basically give recipes, they're recipes that they've tested themselves so that they know the settings and times that they're telling you actually work with the cooker. Now some other accessories here, we've got an air fry basket. The air fry basket does not go the full width of the cooker, so the expectation, let me get this grill plate out, I'll cover that in a second. The expectation is that you would use this bake pan that also comes with it, that goes the full width of the cooker, and you put the air fry basket in the bake pan when you're doing your air frying. Then they have the grill plate, and this grill plate is supposed to also be used in the bake pan, so you put the grill plate in the bake pan. It's got some little grooves down on the bottom there. Maybe you can see, well, maybe now you can see. Yeah, down on the bottom here it's got these little grooves for drainage. So you put that in the bake pan, you do your grilling, then it's supposed to drain off there and go into the bake pan. Also, it's reversible, so if you need like a flat surface to, I guess, cook things on a flat surface, you can do that as well. And then there's basically the regular wire rack that you can use for like your toasting and other things of that sort. So those are the accessories. There is a pull-out crumb tray on the bottom here, so you basically can pull that out, and let's see if I can get it out all the way. Alright, so there's your pull-out crumb tray to catch your crumbs. Also, I guess if any drippings skip over the bake pan, and you know, maybe they'll come out onto this pan here, but you don't want things, of course, dripping on your heating elements. So let me show you around the cooker a little bit. You've got like the front here, side, you got some vents on the side. Other side, you got some on the side. Pin it around the back. You got like that back exhaust thing going on in the back. A little hump in the back there too, a little wire management going on in the back as well. Now I'm going to show you the power cord. It's basically a 2-prong polarized power cord. The cooker is 1800 watts, so it's pretty high wattage, but no dedicated ground wire there. And so with 1800 watts, I would expect the cooker to be able to get pretty hot pretty quick. It's a smaller form factor. It's not the large version of the cooker, so you know, it can, well, they don't have a large version of this cooker. They do have a large air fryer toaster oven, but not one with a grill. So this being a smaller form factor cooker compared to that large air fryer toaster oven, it should be able to get things really hot really quick is what I would expect. They do mention that you should leave 2 to 4 inches of space all around the cooker on all sides of it and whatnot. And the dimensions of the cooker for length, width, and height are 12.25 inches, 15.75 inches, and 13.75 inches. That's length, width, and height. They say that the cooker can hold 0.6 cubic feet, or it has a 0.6 cubic foot interior. And it's supposed to be able to have a 3-pound air fry capacity, be able to toast 6 slices of bread, a 12-inch pizza, or a 4-pound chicken. And we will be doing some checks on the chicken, see if that really fits. The temperature ranges that they say this cooker has, it has a warm setting. They don't tell you the exact temperature of warm, but that's something under 250 degrees Fahrenheit, because the next temperature up from warm is 250. So something below 250 up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, maxes out at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Cooking time, it has basically a dial that goes up to 60 minutes, and that's all you get. There is no stay on type function like some cookers have, so it's not like you can just set it to just run until you decide to stop it if you want to cook something for more than an hour. An hour is the most you get, and then you just have to manually add time. Now here's a close-up view of the cooker. You see over here you've got a light button, dedicated light button. You've got a power indicator, amber power indicator. You've got a time dial. This is the time dial for everything except toast. Over here on the far right is your timer for toasting. When you've got it on toast, you use a toast timer. When it's on anything else that's to the left or right side of this knob, then you use this timer. So that's something to keep in mind. And this is your temperature dial here. Now inside of the cooker, we have just 2 rack levels. That's all you get is 2 rack levels. However, the wire rack can be reversed, so you can put it like this, you can flip it, and you can put it like this to give it a little more height. Inside of the cooker, we have basically nothing in the back, nothing on the left side. We do have a 50% stop guard right there, so when you're on the higher rack level, you get kind of like I think it's about 50% or something like that, but like you can pull the wire rack out and it stops at a certain point. In the back over here in the right, upper right, we see we got the light indicator up there. Got something, a little bulge right there. And let's see, we got for the basically heating elements, we got 2. 1, 2 on the bottom. Up top, we've got several. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel 4. Yeah, so there are 4 heating elements on the top. I don't see like an ambient probe sticking out, like protruding. There is an air fry fan up top there, so big fan up top there that can blow down on things, so it blows right over the heating elements. It doesn't have any other heating element inside of the fan. But the usual Cuisinart design here is what's going on. Most Cuisinarts are set up, well, I guess every Cuisinart that I've reviewed is basically set up the same way, where they've got the big fan on top and blows down on the heating elements, and so we'll see how that works out. So now we have the Cuisinart AirFryer Toaster Oven and Grill next to the Cuisinart Large Digital AirFryer Toaster Oven. So you can see the difference in size, a little more height on the large one, and we're going to do some measuring also to see what other differences there may be in dimensions. So if I go from side to side on the large one, I get, well, let me do it this way so you can see. This way I get about 17.5 inches. On the one with the grill feature, I get, let's see if I can hold that steady. yeah, I get a little under 16 inches, so a little less width on the smaller one there, the one with the grill function. Front to back, I'm not going to, well, I guess I'll try and include the hump. I was thinking maybe I shouldn't include the hump, but it is part of the size to consider. So trying to include the hump to the handle, I'm seeing about 17 and a half inches. Front to back, hump's further down on this one. So let me bring it in some. Alright, that's about where the hump is. And it's about 16 and a half inches to the handle on that one. For the height, keep them beside each other. Get the tape measure here. And we see that the large one is a little over 15 inches. The one with the grill is just under 14 inches. You go inside of each. Inside, top to bottom, I guess I'm just going to do from the door here. Of the large one is about a little over 8.5 inches. For the one with the grill, we got, well, not even 7 inches, maybe a little less than 7 inches. Let's see if I can do from the front to the back inside, including the hump. I've got about 14 inches on the large one. For the one with the grill, I've got about 12.5 inches on the one with the grill. Side to side on the inside, let me do it this way so you can see. I'm seeing a little over 14 inches there, about 14.5 inches inside space. For the one with the grill, we again see about 12.5 inches there. So that's basically a look at some of the size information. I've got a 13-inch bake pan with no handles. Goes into the large one. You can see one without handles would definitely not fit. And since it's 13, it won't go into the smaller one with the grill at all. So I've got a smaller bake pan. It does have handles on it, but it's a little smaller. Can fit in there no problem. And still not going to go into the smaller one here. But of course, if you use like a 9-inch bake pan, 9-inch round bake pan, of course it's going to fit in there with no problem at all. So that's the difference between one of their large cookers and this one here. Now for another side-by-side comparison, I've got the Ninja Foodi Dual Heat Air Fry Oven. You can see the measurements for it in the review video that I did for this, that's also on the channel. And the Cuisinart, we see that the Ninja has basically a longer area here. It's definitely a bit bigger than the Cuisinart. If you just take like their wire racks, you can see how big a difference it is. You can fit the Cuisinart into the Ninjas. So the Ninja is bigger as far as width, definitely not bigger as far as height. The Cuisinart's got a higher height. As far as the sear plate goes, you see this nice big sear plate. Well, this is the one for the Cuisinart. It's small, it fits right down inside of the Ninja Foodi. So just to give you an idea of some size differences there. Now we have the Ninja Foodi XL Pro Air Fry Oven next to the Cuisinart. You can see that the Ninja Foodi is just way bigger in all respects. I don't think there's really much need to do much to show. You can see it's way different. The rack here for the Cuisinart could fit inside of the one for the Ninja. Just way different as far as size, no doubt. So that's just to give you an idea of some comparative differences. You do see with the Ninja, because it's got the display on the handle, they're able to conserve a little bit of height, where the Cuisinart doesn't have as much interior height, but it's got all the dials and stuff on top. So it's still as far as height, it's just a tad taller, interestingly enough. A little taller than the Ninja, even though the Ninja goes further back. And this Ninja was also fully reviewed here on this channel. You can see all the measurements for it in its review. Alright, so now I've got a 5-pound chicken. Gonna see if that'll fit, even though it's bigger than, you know, what they recommend. Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm literally kind of touching the heating element. Well, now I'm not, but yeah, you're pretty close there on the 5-pound. Probably shouldn't do a 5-pound as they recommend. The most you should use is 4. But this is a 3¼ pound chicken, and 3¼ pound chicken we see fits much better. So 4-pound probably would fit in there pretty, you know, snug. So that's basically your chicken size test. Now let's do some temperature testing. I've got my iGrill 2 here with the ambient probe inside of the cooker. Got the rack on the higher of the 2 rack levels. So it is a little closer to the heating element, but all the same will let us know what the heat is of the cooker inside. Trying to get the cord to a point where it's not blocking the weight or the view there with the camera. So now I'm going to basically turn the cooker to, let's see, we want to try and get a really hot cook, but I'll do the air fry. Let's do air fry. We could do broil, we could do grill. Well, let's do grill. Even though we don't have the grill plate in, but we'll do air fry. No, never mind. I'm going to do air fry. I've decided air fry. I'm turning, now they have 450, and 450 is also for baking and toasting apparently. So I'm just turning it as far as it goes. So, you know, maybe it's 450, maybe it's a little beyond. But it's on that with the air fry, and that way we'll get some good hard air fry action in the air fry fan. See what happens with that. I'm going to turn the knob, even though I'm turning it to 60, I'm just going to let it run for maybe 10 minutes and see what the temperature reads after 10 minutes of it running like that. We can see the light there. So we'll let things warm up for a while and see what the temperature reaches. Okay, things have been going for maybe a little over 10 minutes now. I came over, it was a little after 5 minutes. It was already at 458 by then. So probably not even 5 minutes it reaches 450, I would guess. But I wasn't here to witness the exact time when it went over 450. But it, you know, has no preheat, but still the cooker is going to get hot pretty quick. It went to like 468 here, now it dropped back down to 455, now it's 449. So it does try to regulate to stay within that 450 range, but typical of Cuisinarts, gets hot fast, and you know, basically they usually don't miss as far as temperature is concerned. I do want to feel around the cooker a little on top. It's a little hot. It's a little hot. Don't want to keep the hand there long, but I can put it there. On this side, it's a little hot. On that side, a little hot over there in the back. Yeah, it's a little hot back there. In the front is feeling pretty hot. Down underneath, down here I can slide my hand under and keep my hand down there. So underneath, I'm not burning down there, but all the same, do not put these cookers on anything that's not heat safe. As far as surfaces are concerned, use heat-safe surfaces. Don't risk it. Your life's not worth it. So we basically see how things perform with temperature test. It does get beyond 450 even by a little bit, and then it tries to regulate down, but it does stay steady. Well, not steady, but it tries to stay around that 450 range. That's pretty good. And one other thing to be aware of, since the cooker's not digital, it doesn't have a pause button or anything. And when you open up, oh, look at that. When I open, it does pause. So I close, and it starts running. I open. Now when I open, the timer's still ticking. The timer's still ticking, but the fan stopped. So the fan does, stop so you can get in and do what you need to do, but you do lose the time on the timer by just a little bit. So that's pretty cool though, that it does stop when you open the door. Now what I've done, I've put all the accessories in the cooker, and usually with any new cooker it's good to put the accessories in, turn it on a high heat, and let things do like a burn off for like 20 minutes or so, because the stuff that is in these cookers needs to burn off before you start putting food in, and I'm not the guy who knows all about what is in the inside of these things when they ship them to you, so that's something you'd have to talk to somebody who can do that study knows about. But you can basically turn the knob. I wanted to show you, if you want to reduce time, you can turn the knob to the timer you're choosing manually, and that's how you can, if you want it to end time early, you just turn it to off. Now I'm going to talk about the different functions that the cooker has, and we already have things on the air fry setting. And with air fry, typically you're going to have the basket and the bake pan like I showed you earlier, and you're going to use the upper rack position for that, for air frying. For bake, let's see where bake is. Here's bake. That's your regular bake. There's no fan when you're baking, and you use the lower rack position for baking. Then there's a convection bake. If we just go to the right one, it's a little fan with the word bake. That's convection bake. And that circulates air using the air fry fan, and you use the low rack position, but it should accelerate the cooking time some. The next one that I'm going to talk about is broil. So going over to the left to what is the regular broil. And broil is basically good for top browning. Use the upper rack position for that. And then we go over one to the one that has a little convection fan and broil. That's convection broil. And that's good for meats, including fish. You would use the upper rack position for convection broil. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is toast. With toast, you use the high rack position, and you're going to have the rack turned downward and use the high rack position. For grill, let's see if I can get to grill. All the way furthest to the right is grill. Now with grill, as I showed you earlier, you put the grill or griddle plate into the bake pan, and you're going to use the, the low rack position. You're going to use a low rack position for that. But you're going to give 10 minutes of preheat, which means basically you're going to set it for 10 minutes more than what you're really going to cook for, and let it heat up for 10 minutes, usually at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. So 450, 10 minutes, let that grill or griddle plate get really hot, and then you can go ahead and put what you want on it, and you should get your searing. We'll test that out, we'll see. If you're using the griddle side, you're probably going to use a little lower than 450 if you need to use lower than 450, but if you're using the grill side, you probably do want to use 450. I do want to mention something that they point out in the manual. They say that it's not recommended to cover the air fry basket and grill plate with aluminum foil. If covered, the foil prevents the fat from dripping into the drip tray. Grease will accumulate on the full surface and may catch fire. If you choose to use foil to cover the baking drip pan or drip tray, be sure the foil is cut to neatly fit into the pan and does not touch the wall or heating elements. So they basically give a warning about using foil. You want to be careful with using foil in there, and that's verbatim from the manual there. The next function I'm going to talk about is the warm function. Where is warm? Warm's all the way to the left, furthest to the left. With the warm function, basically you're going to use the baking pan or the oven rack, use the upper rack position, and then there's a warning that I wanted to point out from the manual, and the warning is placing the oven rack in the upper position with the rack upward, basically having this rack turned upward in the upper position, while toasting may result in a fire. So they're saying that really you don't want to use that. I guess I said you could have the rack with maybe 4 positions if you had it turned upward. They recommend that you don't turn it upward in that upper position because you may start a fire. So you're really limited to 3 positions that you want to use with that rack from what I talked about earlier. So those are the different functions the cooker has. We talked earlier about the different dials and temperatures and which to use. If you were doing toast, you would turn over the toast and then you would use this timer here for your toast, and you could do it to basically your lighter cook or darker cook. You'd spin around. If you were doing something other than toast, then you would set your time here over on this side, and when you're doing toast you want to have this temperature thing set to the highest. If you're cooking something else, you set it to the temperature that you feel best suits your needs. So now I want to try a toast test. I've got a couple slices of my almond flour whole wheat bread here. If you want to know how to make it, the video for how to make it is on the channel. But this is room temperature bread. It's not from out of the fridge. It does take a little longer usually to heat than store-bought bread, but being room temp, it should brown up faster than if it was right out the fridge. So I've got things on the high heat setting for toast with toast, and I'm going to spin it around to medium, and we'll see how long medium takes to basically heat the bread up, and we'll see how it looks on the medium setting. Do keep in mind, as I said, the almond flour whole wheat bread takes more to heat up than store-bought bread, so even if it comes out a bit light, the store-bought stuff, if that's your thing, is probably going to come out much more cooked. I definitely prefer and recommend homemade bread, but we'll let this go ahead and toast and see what happens. Alright, toast is done. Let's see what's going on in here. Looks like it toasted it pretty good. Well, I'm trying to get the rack out. There we go. So toasted pretty good for medium setting. Let's see what the back side of the bread looks like. Back side. Whoop. Oh darn. Good thing I did two. I just dropped one to the floor. But you see that? So it toasts bread pretty well. And like I said, good thing I did two instead of one. I lost one. But that's our toast test. So now for a bake test, I'm going to try my almond flour lemon squares recipe in the cooker. This is not a recipe I've done on the channel before. I will have a future video where I go through the full recipe in full detail, but I'll just flash the ingredients on the screen for a moment. But basically, sticking the 9-inch bake pan in there with the ingredients mixed up and closing up, and going to set the cooking temperature to 350. I'm going to try to convection bake. I will say that because of the lemon juice in this recipe, things come out kind of spongy, and with the convection bake, the top is probably going to be a little browner than it would be without the convection bake. But we've got 350 convection bake. It's going to be 30 minutes of cooking time here. So I guess, well, that's a little more than 30 minutes, so it's going up a little bit. So we'll let it go ahead and cook for the 30 minutes if it needs that. Usually this recipe does. So we'll let it cook on up and I'll bring you back. So things have been cooking for not even 15 minutes, and I'm pretty sure that they're not done, but I think that fan blowing down from the top has really overcooked the top even more than I expected it would. So I'm just going to check and then turn it to regular bake, because I think convection bake is definitely too strong for the baked goods. So I'm just going to, yeah, definitely not done at all. So closing back up and going to turn it from the convection bake to the regular bake. Alright, so the cook is done, and boy, what a job it did to the top. There were no smoke issues. I did see the steam coming out there when I opened up. There was no problem with smoke. I'm just going to tap the top. Yeah, it's done. Yeah, it's really done. But I had to make sure the inside is done. I'm going to set this aside. Oh, I touched the door a little bit. I'm going to set this aside and let it cool. So I've given them time to cool down, and even though they're blackened over, they're not going to be like black burnt inside or anything like that, you'll see. But for my lemon squares, I basically go low on the sweetener, so I don't do any sugary toppings at all. But I'm going to basically go on in here and see how things are looking inside and get a piece out. Let's see if I can get this out without making a mess. Still pretty warm, even though it's cooled down a bit. So you see inside there, it's not like, you know, it's not burnt inside. It's just the top got way overdone because of that fan. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a quick taste bite. And they taste good. They taste good. They don't taste burnt at all. So top was overdone. Definitely don't use the convection bake for your baked goods. Just use the regular bake. And even that, like I said, I believe has some degree of fan, very low. But if things start getting dark, you can, I guess, cover things over the top with something to prevent things being overdone on the top. Of course, then your cooking time may take longer, but this basically gives you an idea of how this cooker does things. So for a grill test, I've got a few boneless, skinless chicken breasts here. This one is especially small compared to the other two. It's like I got a big one, a medium one, and a small one. But I've got some Old Bay seasoning and some freshly cracked, well, I'm going to be making it freshly cracked black pepper. I'm going to, while I'm getting things seasoned up, I'm going to preheat that grill plate that's in the bake pan on the low rack level. And so this hand that doesn't have any chicken gook on it, I'm going to set it to 450 and going to set things all the way over to the grill setting. And now I'm going to, for the cook time, I'm going to set it to 30 minutes, give it 10 of preheat, and then the last 20 I'll spend cooking. Maybe it'll take 15, I hope. With this cooker, the way things seem to go pretty quick, we'll see. Let's see. I'll put my down a little more. There we go. So that's about 30 minutes. A little more than 30 still. Yeah. Alright, so that's 30 minutes. So we'll give it 10 to do its preheat thing on that rack, and then we'll get the chicken on in and it should be all seasoned up by then. Alright, 10 minutes have passed, and you know from the temperature test things in there have to be pretty hot. So opening up and going to get this out a little, get the meat on. Here's some sizzle. And I'm not using a temperature probe while I cook, even though I know I could. I'm just going to basically just gauge off how things look and such, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to let it run for about 10 minutes, and then I'll bring you back. Alright, it seems like maybe not 10 minutes have passed yet, less, but things are looking really done. I'm opening up and going to go in, we're going to see how things look on the other side. I'm going to flip them over. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That looks good. Even though one or more might be done already, I'm going to let them cook some more. That one didn't get as much of a I guess the Maillard reaction was the other two, but this is pretty good. I'm going to close up and let them cook some on the opposite side. And I know they may cook over the 165, but I personally don't care. I'm not worried about that. I'm just seeing how things perform. And I guess I'm not stuck on 165 like some folks, so it's not a big deal to me. But if it is to you, you know, you can use a thermometer during the cook or whatever you feel you need to do, or check, you know, when you're flipping things over, whatever suits you. But I'm going to let these cook longer and I'll bring you back. Alright, so it's been definitely a full 10 minutes now. I just wanted to give things a little time on the other side, but I'm going to check the smallest one and see how it's doing as far as temperature. I might pull it if it's good to go. So, let's see. Got my thermopin here, and we're at 171. So we're just barely there. Pulling it off. We'll keep the other two in. Let those cook for a little longer. Maybe let the medium one go for another 5, and then let the big one go for the full remaining 10. But I'll bring you back. Alright, maybe there's 5 minutes left. I don't know. It's somewhere between off and 10. But I want to check that middle one, the medium size one. See what its internal meat temperature is. So got the thermopin back out. Oh, we're a little underdone. We're in the 159s. I know you carryover folks are saying, oh, let it carry over. But no, I'm going to let it cook to the 165. I am about cooking things at 165. I just don't mind if it goes over 165. But I wanted to show you the back side of that one that I pulled out, the little one. This is the back side. It didn't get as much of a reaction as the top side that was in there on the, well, the side that was face down for like 10 minutes or so. But we'll let things keep going here, and I guess I'm going to let them both go full 10 minutes. I'm suspecting the big one will not be done though. So I think I'm going to try that medium one in a minute or two, and then just give that big one a bit more time. Alright, we're getting really close to things turning off, I suspect. So I'm going to check that medium one more time and see what's going on with the temperature now. And those who know this channel know I just don't do carryover. I'm not a big fan of it. And that's just my personal opinion, is why that is. And check this one. Yeah, this one's going to need more time. So let's close up. I'm going to stretch it out to 10, which is probably more than it needs. But I want to show you this one. This is the side that was cooked first. This is the other side. It did get, since it was in there longer, it did get some good mylar on both sides. We're going to let this one, the big one, cook longer since it's big. And I'll bring it on back when it's done. Alright, I gave it about maybe 5 minutes, I don't know. But I guess with the dial it's hard to tell. But I'm going to check now, again, thinking maybe it's 165 by now, and just give it time to just hang out, reabsorb juices. Yeah, we're 168 in there, and check another spot. 163 right there, 164. Alright, yeah, 165. Yeah, I think we're safe. I think we're safe. So, I want to show you the opposite side. See, we got some good mylar reaction on that side. We know about this side, so it's all good. I'm going to basically put it over here on the cutting board and move the camera. Alright, we got things all done. Going to switch that to off. Since this one was just cooked, I'm going to let it set and reabsorb juice. Well, reabsorb juices a little more. This one here, I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half so you can see inside of it. This medium one. You can see there, looks good. Going to cut a little piece off, and oh, I think I cut my tongue. I sliced my tongue right there. Like the silicone tongues, I sliced a little bit. Got myself a fork. So this one's been resting, so I'm hoping it's cooled down some. But thank God for some chicken. Turned out good. Tastes good. Has some juiciness to it. So the cooker is able to do the grilling. It just, you know, depending on how large your cut of meat is going to determine the amount of time. Now I want to talk about cleaning the cooker. Basically, everything is supposed to be hand washed only. And only use like a nylon scouring pad if you need to, or a nylon brush. You don't want to use anything that's going to scratch anything. But then make sure to point out that nothing is dishwasher safe. I will say, personally, you know, the air fry baskets, they're tough, and I've never had one that had issues in the top rack. But they do say, don't do it. So I'm telling you, they say, don't do it. What I do in my kitchen or you do in your kitchen is your choice. So that's the tips on how to clean. You're basically going to use a wet soapy cloth and wipe everything. I guess if you need to soak some accessory, you can soak it. But everything is by hand. So let's talk about the warranty. The cooker comes with a 3-year warranty in the USA, and that's a hassle-free warranty. They say they'll even give you the shipping label. Basically, if it's something that's covered under the warranty, they'll take care of all the expenses for you, is what they say. So if anyone does encounter an issue, I hope that it all works out well for you. But it seems the cooker is working out pretty well for me so far. And 3 years for a new cooker warranty is pretty good. Pretty good. Hassle-free, really good. So the cooker did a very good job. I think with the baking, you do need to, you know, be aware of your situation with baking, that the fan might put a little work on the top. Even with the regular bake it may. You might have to keep an eye on things, cover things up, but that's something to determine based on how things go with the cook in your kitchen. And so basically, with all of that said, in the video description, lots of ways to help the channel. Nothing in this video is sponsored. I don't have any association, affiliation with any of these companies, no inside tracks or any of that. So basically, there's like my cookbook. A lot of the recipes are cross-compatible. There's merch, memberships, donations. There's a referral link. If you want to buy the cooker, you can pay the same price, help this channel. And you can also use that to buy other things, and it still helps the channel. So with all that said, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification icon, and good eating.